Today in the crypto space, we see lots of green price action. Bitcoin right around 106,000, up approximately 2%. Ethereum right around 2,600, up approximately 3.5%, leading these altcoins to much higher levels. As you can see, Solana, Hyperliquid, Zeus, Aptos, Near Protocol, and many others right now are looking pretty strong. And the question is, do we get a continuation? In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about one project, a project that many are focusing on. And of course, we're waiting for a bounce, and that project is called Kaspa. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins. Looking for opportunity, whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here with this market, because we do see a little bit of green today. It's not bad. Of course, led by Ethereum, up approximately 3.2% at the current moment. You know, that bull flag that we discussed yesterday and the day before and every day on the live streams is looking pretty good still for Ethereum. And the question is, does Bitcoin support Ethereum's run? In the sense that we can't see Bitcoin, dump in the next little while Ethereum tries to catch up. At best, we want to see Bitcoin go sideways. We see the market cap rising nice and slow and steadily, as you can see. Pretty good rounded bottom with a nice continuation to the upside with a decent amount of trading volume to match, which means why I call it decent, because at least it's in an uptrend, which means that the market participation is in consensus with an upwards move. And I appreciate that ultimately. Now, if we do come down, we do see a lot of these altcoins doing very similar. You can see rounded bottoms, pretty much rounded bottoms everywhere on these 1 hour fractals. And the question is, of course, does this mean that we're getting slow and steady accumulation, healthy accumulation, where we start to see continuations to the upside? And it is very possible here that we do see that. As you can see, Cardano doing pretty good. Anything Ethereum based, for that matter, right now is showing a lot of strength. So anything that relates to Ethereum, DeFi, wrapped ETH, or anything like that, obviously is going to do very well, because Ethereum as a narrative should do well. Now, I also do always mention that if you're bullish on ETH, always have a bit of Chainlink in mind, because at the end of the day, Chainlink as the oracle for Ethereum, the main oracle for Ethereum, should do very well also. So it's been doing pretty good, 4.4% to the upside. Mind you, Solana is also doing pretty good, 5.3% to the upside. And based on the strength on the altcoin market, I could expect that the Bitcoin dominance is falling still. Obviously, we're going to be taking a look at those metrics tonight on the live stream, so feel free to join 8 p.m. EST. We'll take a look at all the metrics. But ultimately, guys, when we see strength like this, and especially starts to see Bitcoin not really doing as much, we start to think, okay, altcoins are dominating right now just a little bit. And as you can see, as we scroll down, guys, there's 3%, 4%. I would say the average, on average, the altcoin market is up maybe about 3 to 4%, which is not bad, guys. We can't complain, especially when we've been on a downtrend for so long. Seeing Aave wake up like this is pretty good, 7.3%. Of course, Uniswap, the main DEX, for ETH, anything ETH related, like I mentioned, is doing great, and it should do going great as long as Ethereum continues on its quest to go to all-time highs and catch up to Bitcoin's price action. So right now, the market in general is doing pretty good. As you can see, we have ICP up 10%, we have Ondo up 4%, and Kaspa's up 5%, guys. I want to talk about Kaspa, guys, because I think Kaspa, could be finding its bottom very soon, and that community is very strong, and ultimately, the tech that it does have is pretty decent. We got to admit what it is, and ultimately, we could see some good reversal structures to continue to the upside for Kaspa. So I definitely want to, give what the audience wants, and the audience sometimes, is looking for a bit of Kaspa in their life, and this is why I'm choosing to talk about Kaspa today. And as a reminder, guys, if you have any other projects that you're interested in, the more you let me know, the better it is. Let me know in the comment section below, and I'll definitely take them into consideration and put them in priority. Let's continue going down here just quick. Quant looking good. Jupiter, again, another DEX for Solana. Solana doing good. Jupe should do well. And that's why we're seeing that kind of volume. Celestia waking up a little bit. Sonic still hesitating, but still okay within range. You know, we're waiting for Sonic to get its moment. I think a lot of people were really bullish on Sonic, and this is why it's been taking a bit of time to see which people can actually hold on before it actually leaves the station. So an interesting concept there for sure. And as we can keep on going down, these rounded bottoms are everywhere, guys. And Dog with Hat up 17.3%. Pretty interesting stuff here. Obviously, the meme coins get their pump and dump action, and we celebrate all the pumps, not the dumps. All right, guys, let's take a look at some price action here. Let's begin. Let's take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin. I got the Bitcoin, the Kaspa chart up right now, but I want to start off taking a look at Bitcoin. Why? Because Bitcoin, at the end of the day, is the greatest leading indicator ever. And lately, I've been, encouraging myself and obviously focusing on Ethereum as a leading indicator, because a lot of us are focusing on altcoins in the last little while. And generally speaking, if Ethereum does well, altcoins will do well. But without Bitcoin at least holding steady, it's going to be very hard for alts to get their bids. All right, let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. So, I talk about Bitcoin going sideways, right? Bitcoin going sideways is a healthy thing for the altcoin market. It's a boring price action. It's price action of which it's an exchange of hands. It gives people the opportunity to speculate on other assets. Now, is this going to be the case? Do we see Bitcoin kind of hesitate here for a good while, maybe all summer long? We don't know. It's very possible, guys, and I'll entertain that all day long. I'm fine with that, as long as we see our altcoin bags do well. And, Bitcoin, getting respect right here at the bottom of the range. So far, so good. Let's get on. Really, the daily is not really giving much an edge. So let's just be real about that. Let's quickly look at oscillators. We're still in a downtrend here, rolling over. A bit of divergence, class A. We're waiting for that bullish response that I've been talking about. We're finally moving a little bit. So maybe by tomorrow, by the end of the day, we should see, it kind of expand, to the upside and see some sort of bullish response here. But then obviously we're all very worried about the bearish response. Does the bearish response eventually bring this momentum even closer to oversold conditions and continuation to this bearish divergence here on the trend oscillator? And if that's the case, maybe we get a lower high. Maybe we even do get a higher high. But eventually the follow through, what about the bearish divergence follow through, where we start to see momentum and trend oscillators basically push the price to lower levels and start looking for horizontal support zones much lower. And that's the thing that I'm keeping an eye on. But until then, guys, until we see Bitcoin roll over or get market structure that suggests a pivot, guys, there's nothing really to worry about here, because Bitcoin is holding very nicely within the range. It did not break to the downside. We have this bottom. It didn't make a lower low just yet. We're doing okay. I am aware on lower time frames that this could be some sort of, continuation, right? Some sort of flag, retracement, and then continuation. Guys, we have to be aware of the bearish case scenario. The bearish case scenario is that we actually do come down and sweep some of these bottoms and come down to this level to kind of test these zones and maybe entertain a fall through this volume gap getting down to about 97,000. That would be the bearish case scenario, where we start looking for, liquidity zones down here. Is that possible? For sure. And you can see that based on this structure, bearish divergence, a bit of follow through right now, maybe a dead cat bounce right into here, or a complex head and shoulders formation where we start breaking down is very, very possible. However, if we could use this level as horizontal support, as we have done many times right into here, and maybe one more time once again, it's very possible that we could use this as support, regardless of the shakeouts that we do experience down here, and then get going, a nice little bounce here, and use this as support once again to go for another higher high. That is still very possible here, guys. Okay, so just keep it in mind. Pivot point structures take their time. Structures take their time in general, as you can see. And as you can see, even dips that come down to horizontal levels eventually might catch up a few bids and expand. And this is potentially one of the scenarios. Okay, so I'm keeping my eye on Bitcoin ultimately. Now, let's take a look at what's going on with Kaspa. So assuming that Bitcoin holds steady and doesn't dump and, destroy the market in the next little while, Kaspa has a good chance of catching some bids, especially with the fact that Ethereum has been showing strength. Ethereum showing strength is a good sign for altcoins, and beginning with the larger caps. And then I start to think about fundamentals, community and, some of the tech. Obviously, Kaspa has good tech. We're just waiting on its smart contracts and all of that kind of stuff that we have been waiting for, that have been promised by the Kaspa team. But for what they do have, it is good, right? And we have to understand that we have to assess projects based on what they have developed, and speculate on what they will develop. Now, the question is the price overvalued based on, their roadmap? And the roadmap, smart contracts perhaps will come, and maybe a lot of people are pricing it in. I'll tell you this though, if we can hold this level, this change of character is probably going to stay very intact. We're going to use this as support, as we have seen already, as we have done in the past and currently. And then we potentially start, bouncy, and then we go up for another higher high here. Okay, and that would be a perfect pivot point structure, higher highs, higher lows, and then we reclaim previous price action. That's generally how it works. However, if we start getting negativity here, again, if Bitcoin decides to dump and Ethereum decides to come down, two heavyweights, the overall total market cap will come down. It won't be exclusive to Kaspa if the market comes down. And this is why I have to say the bullish case scenario is quite easy because of the horizontal. We don't want to break below this horizontal, which is at 5.2 cents. This is it, guys. Green arrow, fat green arrow, that's the level that Kaspa needs to hold. If it breaks below that, guys, it gets into an ugly zone where we start looking at liquidity that is very sparse, and because of that, there's no density, and we want dense levels of horizontal volume, and that volume will give you liquidity that will be protected, or eventually maybe individuals might capitulate on that liquidity. But I'll tell you this, sparse price action like this is not good to hold up price for support. However, guys, before, we can't even get that bearish because we're up here and we respect the horizontal level that was once a volume gap. At the current moment, it got filled, guys. You can see at one point, just looking left, there was a volume gap based on this straight up price action. Then we started distributing. Massive distribution that I called really early here on Kaspa, was a good move to the upside, and it was a good distribution phase. Clear, and then all of a sudden we're here. And now at this level, I entertain, again, re-entering or repositioning myself for a move to the upside. And so far, so good. The target was epic. Guys, if you missed out on my last video on Kaspa, I would suggest checking it out so you can see my thought process is exactly why I wanted to get in on this level, and you can see that it bounced beautifully. Now the question is, do we maintain the structure? Do we maintain the trajectory to the upside and ultimately start looking for higher levels? Now we can see lots of volume, both sell pressure and then here buy pressure. Now, is there enough buyers to outpace the sellers? And as of now, we are looking at a pivot point structure that could suggest that. Let's take a look at the oscillators here for a second. What I do not like is that we went overbought, and we're currently looking for oversold conditions. And you can see that it is possible that we come down a little bit more, reach below 30% here on the momentum oscillator, and come down for a further dip. It's very, very possible here, guys. However, I'm just going to let you guys know that if Ethereum continues to show strength and breaks out of its bull flag, it's likely that it won't get oversold. In fact, it's likely that we get this bullish response. See this orange right here? I don't like looking for or getting into charts or getting into setups where momentum is not completely oversold. I want to see oversold conditions, purple line oversold, and I want to see the orange line ready to rocket. And that gives me the indication that I'm trying to, trade momentum and volatility in the same direction. At the point, the problem is that momentum is in a downtrend, and momentum obviously doesn't have to get oversold when the conditions turn bullish. Same way we were in a downtrend, as you can see that we stayed oversold significantly, guys. It's not like we went oversold and bounced real quick. Now, if we're in an uptrend all of a sudden, we could expect that the momentum might stay overbought a little longer as well. And maybe we won't reset completely right now because the bullish momentum and the bullishness in the market might cause a quick Uno reversal right into this level and maintain an uptrend. And this is the thing where DCA starts to come into hand, right? We look at the discount zone. We are approximately getting support at the 0.5 Fibonacci, which is the discount zone right here at about, I would say 8 cents. That's a great discount zone. If we come lower, 786, 886, and I told you invalidation was below this bottom at 5 cents. In between the current level and all of this emptiness right into the zone, that would be an opportunity to accumulate and DCA ladder in until we get oversold. That is when you might want to get into some more riskier positions, get oversold, wait for bullish divergence and all of that. But at the current moment, guys, the prices and the way Ethereum looks starts to make me believe that it's possible that we start showing some bullish price action in the next little while for the altcoins. And of course, based on rotation, based on market cap, Kaspa is very likely to catch some bids early and start to see some of the rotation, some of the capital rotate, or even fresh capital as the total market cap decides to rise. The fresh capital might be deployed into Kaspa, right? So we got to understand that the risk and the reward. The risk is we get more oversold and we come down a little lower. And the reward, if you start looking at the reward, is, you know, maybe this is the change of character pivot point structure where we start moving to the upside once again. I just want to throw this out there. Look at the trend oscillator. You know, it did come down. It got into the bearish control zone, as you can see. Not a good look. You know, expansion to the downside. However, guys, we can definitely reverse, get back up again, and stay in the bullish control zone. And you can see that ultimately this was a pivot point in the sense that we were very bearish, structuring to the upside. And slow and steady, we're making higher highs on the expansions of the trend oscillator. So it's not too bad. I would like to see an EMA cross with a little bit of green histogram bars. That would be awesome. But again, we're trying to stay one step ahead here because the daily time frame is going to have a lot of intraday candles that can definitely be traded and used as a signal for that pivot point on higher time frames. So right now, it's not bad. Remember, this is a 0.5 Fibonacci retracement, more or less. Let's see how accurate I am here just by looking at it. Golden pocket, 0.5 fib. We came down as closest to the golden pocket, and we're currently touching the 0.5 fib. If we flag out here, maybe we come down to the 786 with an ABC correction. Golden 886 is also a good level because your invalidation is clearly close by, so that way you can get in with a healthy risk to reward ratio. Like I mentioned before, guys, 30 30 40 DCA ladder in. I think this is a great opportunity if you're a Kaspa bull and you're bullish on the fundamentals. All right, guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor, slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join the Discord, guys. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.